Hello, everyone. This is the Inner Voice Show, part of the Evolving Mind series in the Togetherness media. I'm Dr. Foojan Zeine. I'm a psychotherapist, an author, and the originator of the awareness integration theory. This is a show about what matters most in our life, our minds, our thoughts, feelings, actions, relationship, and our fulfillment in this beautiful journey of life. In this show, I will share the tip of the week about how to stop living in constant unnecessary fear and suspicion. I will share with you ways to handle when your plans are changed. And I'm actually here from Texas, from Dallas, because I was supposed to be in California. All plans changed suddenly because of airlines. So I bring you this show, but I'll also tell you what happens to us naturally when something is sprung on us and we haven't been looking for it. So, and then what to do with it. And then I bring to you Dr. Rochelle Calvert. She is a psychotherapist, author of The Healing with Nature, and certified in a variety of mindfulness, meditation, and trauma healing practices. She's the founder and the clinical director of the New Mindful Life in San Diego. Subscribe to my YouTube channel, please, and podcast, and connect with me through any of the social medias. I'd love to hear from you, your ideas, your questions you might have, everything that would add to my connection with you. But first, here's the tip of the week. Well, here's the tip of the week. Stop living in constant unnecessary fear and suspicion. This is what a client said. As I sit in my car driving home, I call my husband and he does not pick up. My mind goes to 100 different places. Is he okay? Is he talking to someone? Who? Is he not picking up my call purposely? Is he talking to another woman? Does he not love me anymore? Is he? Is he this? Is he that? These are what goes on in Pamela's mind. She says that she remains in that suspicious mode all night and then dreams about it. I ask if there's any reason or any evidence for her suspicion. Has he done anything? Has he said anything for her to be not trusting him? She powerfully says, nope, I can't control it. There are many times during the day you might find your thoughts creating scenarios about what people around you would do to you or about you or even for themselves, be it your mate, your friend, family members, or someone at work, regardless of whether you have any sort of evidence or if they've done anything before to kind of ignite that evidence. So you might continue the story in your head and believe it as if it's true, and then end up having emotional reactions toward those people. So when raw, unfiltered emotional reactions based on a personal thought and perceptions are sprung on people, it doesn't end well. The accused, the person you're actually accusing in your mind and probably somehow in the way you say it, whether it's through sarcasm or straight out accusation or just through your anger, letting them know that they've done something without really them doing anything. That person goes into a defense mode and usually either ignores, denies, or attacks back with a lot of resentment. The cycle creates feelings of resentment, anger, sadness, disappointment, guilt, anxiety, hopelessness, or sometimes even powerlessness because they figure no matter what happens, they have no power about your mind and how you're going to accuse them. And this happens for both people. So why the rumination? I've noticed that any past hardship or trauma that has imprinted painful experience will show up as a form of anxiety and fear about the present moment or the future. The internal emotional pain that has not been resolved stands by for any sign alert us to be ready for another episode. The fear creates the projection of the past event onto whatever is happening now or a possibility of the future. The scene of the past keeps repeating in the hopes to spare you from the unknown surprise, as long as you scare yourself long enough to be prepared for the pain that is bound to happen, you will have less pain facing the same pain over and over again. Not true in reality, because if it is true, you will feel the pain regardless. And if it is not true, then you just wasted your time and emotional energy for an unnecessary pain. So what can you do? Reality check. Ask questions that would give you answers to clarify and ease your suspicion. If you find some fact that bothers you, then deal with that particular fact. If there are no facts and you realize it, that's all in your imagination, then attempt to complete with the past trauma to shut down the bystander that needs to remind you to protect you and let her or him know that you are safe. Living in constant fear is painful. Creating clarity as soon as possible is really the key. So if a gut feeling tells you this is the truth, do something so that you will get the fact and not just your suspicion in your head. And if it's not, if you really do reality check and there's nothing going on, take care of yourself because you're scaring yourself constantly. For more information, observational skills, and emotional regulation, please go to my book, Life Reset, The Awareness Integration Path to Create the Life You Want. Thank you. The question is, how do we handle sudden changes in our life where, we've planned a particular thing, an event, our whole day. Sometimes we plan our whole life. This is what's going to happen. I'm going to go to school, and then I'm going to go to a job, and then I'm going to build my career, and then I'm going to have my mate. I'm going to get married. I'm going to have kids. So that's how we may plan all of our life. Another thing would be, planning our day. I'm going to wake up in the morning, have my breakfast, go ahead and do my exercise, and then I'm going to meet with so and so and so. And then something happens without you anticipating it, shows up. What happens to most of us is we get startled, we get angry, we get frustrated. Definitely, it's an inconvenience. And then many of us first go into denial or bargaining into changing it the way we want it to be. As if like, no, this can't be. It has to be the way I thought, because I just have to now change a lot of things that are going to be very difficult. If I have appointments with people, what's going to happen to them? If it's about my life and I have to reroute, what's going to happen to all the plans that I have? How is this going to impact everybody else? So our mind a lot of times just gets really jumbled, and we get very frustrated. Most people, out of that frustration and the anxiety of how they have to deal with all of this, they get angry, they get enraged, and they show their anger toward the person that has brought up the change and blast at them. Well, that usually ain't going to change anything either, because if the change is happening and we have to deal with it, we have to deal with it. So usually then what we do is we'll go with the resentment and try to figure out other options to do, while in our head, which is moaning, grumpy, and going to still kind of bargaining in our head that this shouldn't have happened, whose fault it is. And that's what we're going to find out. And they're going to be punished. And we're going to find out how it happened, why it happened. So we'll make sure it'll never happen again. And that's how our brain works. And that's okay. It's just that most of the time we go through the time miserable while we're actually creating the solution for the next planning and the next steps we have to do. So we're doing the work. Why am I being so miserable about it? So maybe if I can go through the work without being miserable, at least I have saved some of my mental energy, and I would be more in a good mood. And my brain will have more capacity to look for appropriate solutions instead of standing there and fighting with people and constantly throwing negative energy toward myself and everybody else. Maybe I can immediately look at, yes, something has happened. I don't like it because a change has come upon me, which I didn't agree with. I didn't request it, and messes up my whole day and probably my whole life as I have planned it. So when something happens that I don't like, I need to acknowledge it. I don't like this, and that's okay that I don't like it. Then the point is finding the reason of why that happened. Maybe the person who has created the change can tell me. Even if I don't like it, they have their own reason of why things have changed. I can accept the reason, again, although I don't like it, and then look at possible scenarios. Even if someone has changed something in front of me, such as changing an appointment with me, changing the course of the day, any of the plans I've had that they can't handle. I'm going to a restaurant and they don't have the food I want. I go on a plane and they cancel my flight. Anything that happens that is different, then I can ask. The person will let me know. And then I can go ahead and change the plan with some solution. Maybe the person who changed the plan can give me an alternative plan and we could create a solution together. Maybe they can't. They just canceled it and there's nothing that they can do about it. Then maybe I can look at alternatives. Maybe I can talk to the resources I have, my friends, my family, the people who are at the center of the business or planning that I need to do. And I can come up with a new plan. And if this is messing up everything else with everybody else, maybe I can call, I can text, I can explain what's going on and request also a shift of planning with them. Most people are very forgiving and they're very helpful and collaborative when we go to them and say, this is an issue and can we collaborate together and shift this? My experience has been that when I'm not stressed and when I'm not being upset and throwing my anger everywhere, or that I don't refuse and not even deal with it, things so that I ignore all the people that this is impacting, usually people collaborate very easily. The problem becomes when I brew the anger and frustration. So now I'm in a bad mood. Now everybody I'm going to call, I'm going to dump that anger. I put them also in a frustrating mood. They just don't want to deal with me. And if I don't handle my communication with everyone that is impacted, then they get upset with me because I didn't take the responsibility of communicating with them. So let's figure out how to immediately put ourselves from a place of upset because something changed into an appropriate solution, into communicating with everybody that it affects, and I can come back and bring my day and my life, in a sense, back into a status quo of ease that it could go forward. And then after I've created the scenario and this new solution and I'm putting it back into just deep breathing, calm yourself down and calm your body and all of the anxiety and the frustration down and just enjoy the new plans that you've created. And life goes on. Life consistently brings a lot of changes. I remember when I was a teenager, that was not acceptable to me. It was as if the only way I could handle my anxiety was to pre-plan everything so that I can go through the day with minimum anxiety. But pre-planning is fantastic as I go forward. But getting stuck in my pre-planning, since the world is just going to bring whatever it does, that getting stuckness in my pre-planning is what's going to get me really, really upset. Because getting stuck in it means that I am under the delusion that if I pre-plan everything, the world will come through exactly as I said it will. Well, rude awakening, that ain't going to happen, right? So if I pre-plan, because obviously I want my life to go in order, and it does minimize anxiety and chaos when I have created an appropriate plan for my day. It's going to go through my success. However, if something happens, I also need to have the flexibility to be able to change and move with all of the waves that are coming so that I can come back and create a calmness in my day. So get unstuck from your pre-planning, and you can come back from an anxiety and frustration through replanning, renegotiating, creating the solution, and then taking care of your body, calming yourself down, and enjoying the new way that you have created. Thank you.
Togetherness Media. Togethernessmedia.com